so much damage. We're even inventing new language to deal with this. Remember that cringily soulless word "meet cute" that people started using years ago?
I never heard
it
that.
popped up on social media as a way to describe meeting someone that you exchange numbers with for a date. For example, at a coffee shop.
I've actually never done that. I have never done that, not even once in my life.
Or a bookshop when looking for the same book.
Never.
Just think about the fact that we actually developed a new word for the crazy phenomenon of just meeting someone organically. It should have set off alarm bells, right? It was an early sign that society was changing in a way that made meeting people in real life the exception and not
Of
the
course.
rule. It's no coincidence that the word started being used a lot around
Because like the thing is, like, if you can find a girl on the internet, right? You look her up on Facebook and it's like, okay, she's pretty hot. Then you look her mom up and then you see her mom's fat and you're like, well, fuck, like, I'm not gonna invest in this. Like, who wants to invest in a company that's going down like this? If you know the company's gonna go bankrupt in 5 years, you gonna go and invest in that company? What if her mom's hot? Well, then you talk to her.
15, the same time dating
I mean, what?
apps blew up. And in the last decade, dating declined to the point where the majority of Generation Z today
You're
just
such
don't
a
know
pig?
or really have any
I
way
know.
to meet people.
50% of men aged 18 to 24 have
anything not
That's
your
what I was
home,
saying.
school, workplace have just vanished. Think about the place that you grew up as an example.
Yep.
Pubs, bars, libraries, high street shops. How many are actually left today? And if any, how busy even
All gone except one card shop.
are they? Since COVID, we just shuttle ourselves from home to work to the gym, to
Yep.
the supermarket and home. You don't really just go to the village market. There is no real town, square or hall. You're not really bumping into anyone. Even a bit of small talk with someone at the bus stop just feels weird and awkward. Making eye contact with someone on public transport will get you a look that leaves you wondering if you're insane.
So much of what makes somebody good at dating is different now than it was 50 years ago.
You can see it in the way coffee shops have changed.
I can't really comment on. I don't know.
Almost every cafe is bland,
Yeah.
empty, just minimalist. Almost as if they're designed purely as a conveyor belt of coffees and customers, getting us in and out as quickly as possible to extract the most amount of money they can. But can you remember the time when a stereotypical cafe was like this? With big sofas, comfy chairs.
We had a place like this. It went out of business because nobody bought anything. People just showed up and smoked weed, and they brought beer and they'd just get drunk. Yeah, it really, we had one, it lasted for like 3 years.
people together to talk, and people
Yeah.
just walking up to someone to say
Shut
something
it down.
without it being creepy. The show Friends was based on just reality in the 90s, and it's all part of a much wider pattern, one that's seemingly threatening humanity.
That this is actually a potentially existential crisis. Humans really do meet
I
the
got grandma sitting in the gaming chair.
qualification of an endangered species.
Because meeting people and building relationships
Yeah.
is really the most important thing for human survival. It's often the key indicator in determining your lifespan. It's how we have replacement rates in just the population. But with this last decade and the disappearance of so many communal spaces where our parents and grandparents had opportunities to randomly meet new people, mixed with
Another big issue is that there's no shared common culture. Like, for example, in, you know, the 50s, from what I hear, right, 60s, from what I hear, is that there was much more of a established way of pursuing a woman or pursuing a man. But now, like, for example, there are women that whenever they tell you no, they want you to continue pursuing them. There are women that like this, and they like being hard to get, and they think that it's a game, it's a narrative to them, it's like romantic in their mind. Now, in my opinion, I think it's ridiculous. You're playing games with me, I'm not a PlayStation, get the fuck out of here. But at the same time, there is a shared cultural expectation that a certain degree of that could be you know, acceptable. But whenever you bring in people from a bunch of different cultures and you have a segmentation and a fragmentation of the culture where some people think that asking twice is like basically sexual harassment and other people think that asking twice is meaning that you mean it, you have a huge problem of, you know, basically shared culture. And I think this is another reason why this has become so problematic in America. It's because there has been a breakdown of what these shared rules of engagement are between men and women.
dating apps has meant
Engagement are between men and women. There's been a breakdown of what these shared rules of engagement are between men and women.
dating apps has meant we're seeing a gap try to be filled that wasn't a natural one.
Down of what these shared rules of engagement are between men and women.
dating apps has meant we're seeing a gap try to be filled that wasn't a natural
You're not
one.
25.
This is a void created by the
She's like
same
32.
economic forces that hollowed out our third
I can
space as
tell.
chains and corporate landlords.
Fake.
The same forces that funded these apps promising to replace what
Mm-hmm.
was destroyed. And dating apps didn't discover a gap in the market,
Yeah.
one was just
They
torn
became the
open
market.
and then monetized. But it was a lie. That too was all about getting your money.
Yeah.
Think about it, the whole idea of a dating app as a viable business is a paradox. If they actually help people into relationships,
Then they lose the customer.
would clearly lose business.
Yeah.
One good match is 2 lost customers. So
Exactly.
instead, they design the apps to fail, and in doing so, keep us hooked on using them. And in turn,
I've never
what
used a dating app before.
better way to keep an active user
Mm-hmm.
base than by having relationships designed to be short-term?
75
This is your
million.
capacity
My
to
God.
fall in love, to build a family, to find meaning. All your data, all your most vulnerable desires is just slowly converted into swipes and push notifications so someone else can hit their quarterly growth targets. Your relationship is designed to not be
I'm
long
not
term.
off on okay.
It's why
Cupid.
men
No,
make
I know a lot of people that have met their girlfriend or wife on a dating app. I think it's pretty possible.
up 75% of Tinder users and women just 25%.
Yep.
Interestingly enough, the co-founder of the dating site OkCupid wrote a book revealing what actually happens behind the scenes of dating apps. Women, as you'd expect, receive an average of 4 to 5 messages a week, which
That's
even
a
that
lot.
seems unlikely to be this low. 90% of men received an average of the scenes of dating apps. Women, as you'd expect, receive an average of 4 to 5 messages. Interestingly enough, the co-founder of the dating site OkCupid wrote a book revealing what actually happens behind the scenes of dating apps. Women, as you'd expect, receive an average of 4 to 5 messages a week, which
That's
even
a
that
lot.
seems unlikely to be this low. 90% of men received an average of 0 messages.
An average of 0. Well, that's not very good, is it?
Only at the extreme end of the attractiveness scale do the best looking men receive
Yeah.
around 1 to 2 messages.
But there's also a lot of men who are relying on dating apps who are never going to get the matches that they desire,
No.
either because they are short or because they are bald.
So, as many of us are
Fucking, what a fucking bitch. I hate this bitch.
already
What
know,
is
if you're
this?
not in the top 10%, there's really no point in using them. It's something that's called
fuck?
mate suppression in practice, and we'll get into that more soon.
And the reality is, for 95% of guys, online and dating apps aren't going to be a fruitful place for them to meet women.
But
Yeah,
what
exactly.
we're seeing right now is that Generation Z's entire prospect of finding love is based on the ELO rating system, a
You're dating Elo.
numerical method developed
Yeah.
to rank players in games like chess.
Oh my
a player's score
God.
determines how strong or weak they are in relation to others. So your ability to
Yep.
find love is seemingly literally being run through the same maths we use to decide who's good at chess or League of Legends. It's why whenever you join these apps you get tons of
Yep.
matches, then suddenly they just fade away. You'll be told this is a personal failure, but oftentimes it's not. It's
Well,
just
it
the
is a personal failure. It's basically you're ugly, and so people swipe left on you, and so they stop showing you to other people because they don't want people. Basically, you have to keep in mind that these dating apps, their best interest is to keep people engaged. So in the process of keeping people engaged, you want to show people that are engaging. And so if you have a person that has a swipe through rate of 98%, then guess what? You're not going to show that person a lot, because if you do that, then it's going to increase the probability that that person isn't going to use your app because the app is showing them something that's statistically unlikely to be attractive. It's just common sense. Like, you look at the way the numbers are.
platform sorting you to the bottom unless you pay a ton of money. And this
Yeah.
created a dangerous dynamic that has now permeated the world of dating, one where women select the same group of the most attractive men who have almost exclusive access to women, who then become less interested in lots of these girls because they are then seen as too easy. The effect of this is that dating is seemingly a low-trust marketplace, as the entire way to attract is seemingly detachment and not through connection. It's always a contest of who cares the least, who can take the longest to message back, who's more aloof, disinterested, and who holds the power in the struggle to not care about the other. In other words, it's a game.
Let me tell you something. Like, this is my relationship advice. I don't have a girlfriend. Is that I think I should just always preface it with that, right? Just always, every single time. Yeah. Oh, by the way, guys, this is my message 9 months later. So there are people I regularly don't message back for like weeks at a time. And that's just the way it is. And so it looks like Rainbow Siege, yeah, definitely. So if you have to play the I'm not going to message you back game, the odds are that person is a waste of your time. It's just the way it is.
A game where almost everyone
You
is
really
bound
wanna
to
do
lose.
that your whole life?
You can now see it on reality TV with game shows where heartbreak is entertainment. But
Yep.
what's the message we're
It's
supposed
always been that case.
to get from this? Romance isn't sacred, it's just a contest, which all leads to the loneliness epidemic, and this one's hitting the youngest the hardest. But it's not just dating. Our whole modern society is stacked against any of us meeting someone getting married or even having children, and the consequences of this will change.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, like out of all my friends, like I thought about this, obviously, you know, this is the kind of shit you think about when you're 35, but like every single one of my friends is either married or has kids. Like, there's one exception, but, like, this dude's had the same fucking girlfriend. He's like, oh, we're engaged. They've been engaged for 15 years. They're fucking married, okay? So, besides this one guy, every single guy I know has either been married, is married, or has kids. That's crazy.
The world as we know it. Because there's something else catching up with us.
Our
Our bodies are starting to fail and lose the capacity to produce children at all. You know what they found recently? Microplastics in human testicles. Human testicles contain nearly 3 times as much plastic as dog testicles.
Based.
We're literally marinating our reproductive organs in synthetic
So
polymers.
based.
It's one of the many explanations as to why male sperm counts have dropped by more than 40% since 1970. Average sperm count could even hit near zero at the current
What? That sounds like bullshit.
trajectory. Even if a situation that have dropped by more than 40% since 1970. Explanations as to why male sperm counts have dropped by more than 40% since 1970. Average sperm count could even hit near zero at the current
What? That sounds like bullshit.
trajectory. Even if a situation that extreme doesn't transpire, there are plenty of other things to worry about. Like the forever chemicals in non-stick pans and waterproof jackets, BPA in your water bottles, all the nasty chemicals in your shampoo. I mean, just the list goes on. Even simple stuff like drinking hot coffee out of plastic takeaway cups.
Why do that?
In a world now saturated
coffee,
with endocrine disruptors. And surprise, surprise, our endocrine systems are getting disrupted by all of this garbage we're pumping into our bodies daily. But even if you've somehow avoided the chemical assault, even if your fertility is
I didn't even know this was a thing.
fine, there's another huge problem vying against us. How many of your friends between the ages of 18 and 30 have kids? One.
I would say that inside of my friend group, how many of them had kids inside of 18 to 30? Sample size of, let me think sample size of how many people. Let me think of like just the 30 people that I know that like the first 30 people come to mind. I'd say like 40 to 60%, somewhere around there.
1, 2, none until this year or last? Is anyone planning to have kids? How about those who said they don't even want kids? We just push everything later and later back. Education, work, financial stability, and for the middle classes especially, that pushes back having a family.
Of course.
Because you only have a family when it's really sensible to you, right? That's just the middle class value. Rich people don't worry, and poorer people don't worry.
No,
But
they don't.
Nothing changes our biological clock when it comes to fertility. Women over 35 are considered advanced maternal age, and honestly 35 is starting to look young to have kids for millions of people around the world. However, at 35, miscarriage rates nearly double. The chance of
your kid can be all kinds of fucked up if you have a kid over 40. My mom was 40 when she had me. Ah, wow. How about that, huh?
Chromosomal abnormalities skyrockets. Down syndrome risk goes from something like 1 in 1,250 of 25 to 1 in 100 of 40.
See, chromosome, probably hear that?
It's not just mothers.
Yeah.
Older fathers contribute too. Men over 45 show increased risk for autism, schizophrenia, even still birth in their partners. Having kids into the 40s, 50s, and way higher for men at least is now becoming super common. Every year you wait, you're rolling dice with higher and higher stakes. But what else do you do? Shrug your shoulders and say it's too late and just plummet towards old age without the family you ever wanted and live an unsatisfying life. Well, if you don't want that, when natural conception fails, you can only turn to IVF. This is often the modern solution, except a single cycle costs $12,000 to $15,000.
Trump reduced this by a lot, to be fair. But
Medications, there's another $5,000, and most people need multiple cycles, so you're looking at around $30,000 to $50,000 minimum, often much more. And this leads down a dark path where we're forced to engineer more of the process of just having kids. Genetic testing in the womb. Testing for Down syndrome is one thing, but some companies will now screen for height and IQ.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, if you're gonna have a manlet that's only like 6'1", I mean, you might as well just kill it. I mean, just kill him right now, right? I mean, let's not even. It's just so cruel to allow him. Like, he's gonna be 5'9". Just kill him. And listen, Sparta used to do that, right? They take the baby. The baby's small, off the cliff. That's the way it is.
An ethical black hole in every front for men and women. Women are the childbearers, they shoulder a lot of the risk here, and male dating culture doesn't think about this enough because everyone is turning against each other. If you've seen our video on population collapse, you'll know that fertility rates are just collapsing. Countries like the USA and the UK are seeing the lowest childbirth numbers in
nothing compared to Korea too.
Histories. It's not just a stat, it's millions of people who always imagined they'd have a partner and family one day, now quietly aging out of that possibility. Family lines ending not because people don't want love, but because our environment makes acting on that desire impossible. Ask yourself, even if you did meet the right person, what would stop you from having children? Probably not enough money, no chance of being able to buy a house anytime soon.
Yeah, if people don't want to have a kid and, like, you know, have this kid, put it in, I blame feminism. I think that if, you know, honestly, I think there's like 50 reasons. I think women being obnoxious is one of them, but I think women think men are awful too. Like, the thing is that this is the problem, is that a lot of it, people look at it from like a guy's perspective, but like, I know why women hate men because I've read women's DMs. Damn. Like, some guys, like, really, like, I mean, did you really have to send her a picture of your dick after you said good morning? Like, you don't even know her. Why would you do that? Why would you send her a picture of your dick? Why would you do? You don't even know her name.
Cost of living is probably too high on your city.
It's just,
food,
I
bills,
don't
and
get
transport. The cost of childcare is more than your current salary. There are just no good schools in your area, or no school places in areas with good schools. Or even just finding a wife that you can trust won't divorce you and take half of your money.
True.
It's probably all of the above. It's not just an economic problem. Based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, all the stuff we need like love and marriage and family are just the basics. It's the same importance in life as having food, water, a roof over our heads. The funny thing is that the way this hierarchy was sold to us in the 20th century made it sound like family came after you'd finally self-actualized. You've nailed the career, the money, the personal
growth. Well, that's
growth.
usually the way it used to be, right? Is like the idea was that you would find a girlfriend in like high school or college or early in the work potentially, and then as your career is getting more popular and you're doing better, then you get married and have kids. Right? And like this all happens between like 23 to like 29 or 30, right? This is what happens. That's so unrealistic now. Well, I'm just saying, like, growing up, that's what they would tell me.
Now for a family. In reality, for most people, that self-actualization replaced family altogether. There was always one more phase of working on myself first, so we ended up with a whole culture optimized for individual self-maximization, while family quietly got pushed off the edge of the pyramid. Today, most of us, let alone Generation Z, never even get past the bottom layers. Housing, money, community, security, it's all unstable. And when your foundation is shaking, you can't climb to the levels where belonging, intimacy, and family even become possible. The system keeps us stuck in
Yeah,
survival.
I mean, if you're stuck trying to afford food, it's hard to figure out where the hoes are. You know, like, that's just the way it is. This shit's a bummer. No, it's serious. It's the way it is.
Mode, but gaslights us for not reaching love. Do you ever lie in bed scrolling through people's social media? The engagements, weddings, honeymoons, kids, it feels like you're watching real life from behind glass as time seems to disappear from.
I don't, actually. Like, I never look at this shit. I just look at, videos of myself. I look at a lot of videos of myself. I watch myself. See what people are saying.
And it's not just about missing out on dates, it's that we're missing out on the opportunity to build something lasting. Something to have outside of ourselves. Something to connect us with beauty in the world. Somehow starting a family is considered a luxury for the rich.
It is.
A luxury for a
100%
select few in society who don't have to worry about the housing market. They don't have to worry about the dating crisis. They own several homes. That money and security is attractive to other women. They don't need to worry about schools. They can send their kids to the best private schools anywhere in the world. And the thing is, this isn't an accident. Decades of decisions driven by corporate greed, short-term profits, and a culture that worships work over family has left us here. Those at the top are allowed to have family. They're able to have more kids. And even
I think this was always the case, actually. I think it always was, but like now it's just gotten to be so extreme that it's problematic.
and there's several homes. That money and security is attractive to other women. They don't need to worry about schools. They can send their kids to the best private schools anywhere in the world. And the thing is, this isn't an accident. Decades of decisions driven by corporate greed, short-term profits, and a culture that worships work over family has left us here. Those at the top are allowed to have family. They're able to have more kids. And even
I think this was always the case, actually. I think it always was, but like now it's just gotten to be so extreme that it's problematic.
and they're still not having that many. Like in Idiocracy, where you'll get these upper-class people debating whether it's a good idea to even have one child. So how can you expect an undervalued, underpaid worker class to ever be able to have the time, money, or even possibility of raising a family? Especially as more and more governments cut childcare, youth services, community centers, third spaces, police numbers, the list just goes on.
It's bad.
But the effect down the line is just a less safe, less connected society that is not replacing itself. Huge populations in the entire Anglosphere are just disappearing over time. And this is where it gets interesting, because if you think about the West 150 years ago, it wasn't like we were even that much richer. So many people struggled, poverty was rife, the poor worked insane hours, but they still had families, often large ones. So what actually changed? Well, religious communities and spaces, shared culture, social traditions and rituals, these safety nets that help people to share life's burdens.
Yeah, there's no shared culture. And also, I think that it's harder for like a guy to like, I think, get a girlfriend in a lot of cases, because a lot of guys don't really know how to talk to girls. That's another big issue. Like, for example, it's like, what do you talk to this thing about, right? Like, what do you ask it what its day is like? I don't know what the fuck to say to it, man. Like, oh my God, bro. Like, can we just skip this part? Can we just skip this part? Like, this is just so fucking annoying.
Erased. Modernity has completely stripped away all the essentials that make replacing your population just a natural part of human evolution.
And then that's whenever you send them a picture of your dick. That's right. That's right. And now the police are here, and apparently there's something called sexual harassment. Like, what the fuck?
And I'd say the most infuriating part of this fertility collapse is when we're just supposed to pretend that people's decision to not have children is simply a personal choice, and not one imposed upon us by oppressive social structures. This isn't a problem.
I think there's a lot of reasons. I think that also people don't have kids because of their career in a lot of cases too. That's a big factor, huge factor.
Africa or other developing parts of the world, and yet somehow the rich West can't even replace its population levels. And we can't just blame the rich and powerful here. Much of the progress we celebrate today is just part of the problem.
Well, and it's also like people consume media that makes them hate the other gender. I think that's another really big factor, is that they're consuming media that makes them fucking hate men or hate women. And so they spend all their time looking at this, and then they're crashing out. Like, yeah, duh, of course they are, because you're just getting fed a constant diet of men bad, women bad, etc. You're watching me. Yeah, you watch me all day and you hate women. Of course, duh. Obviously.
We created a massive middle class, and when you look at who's actually having kids, it's not a straight line from rich to poor. It's a U-shape. The wealthy have kids. Elon Musk has 12 children. Nick Cannon has 12. Robert De Niro just had his 7th at age 79. The
What the
working class
fuck?
or populations in poorer countries have tons of kids too. Africa's population is booming. Often when work prospects are lower and
the
pay is
USAID,
worse, kids
right?
become a lifeline. Life priorities put family before career advancement because career advancement really isn't on the table anyway. There's nothing controversial about this. This was always what it used to be like before countries became industrialized and the middle class blew up. Families had loads of kids first because infant mortality was high, and second,
Yeah, you gotta just, I mean, honestly, you gotta have like 6 or 7 kids. That way, like, you know, like 3 of them just gonna get popped off, like, I don't know, like some fucking wolf or some shit, right? And then there's apparently a tiger. Found that out, you know, where's Billy? Well, I mean, like, you didn't even give a kid a name, right? Like, they used to not even give kid names until they had a certain amount of age, right? Like, it's like, this kid's like, you know, now, all right, you know, he's 5. All right, let's call him, well, let's call him Ed. How about that? They don't have names.
because it
It's
means
just like,
more
you know,
family
1, 2,
income
and 3.
and higher overall chances of survival. The middle class, though, they're getting
And then
absolutely
somebody said also, it's a good point, right? Is you have to also have another kid so you can ritualistically sacrifice it for the for rain.
crushed, and they're dying quite literally because of that. First, the middle class is associated with hard work and career aspirations, the self-actualization I talked about earlier. So immediately there's an additional cost,
corn harvest,
childcare,
exactly.
because most middle class households have dual incomes. No one wants to give up the career society marketed to them all their life. The middle class couple sits
What's also the issue is that, like, I mean, in my opinion, like, I'm a traditional kind of guy, is that the right way of doing things is that you get married, and then after you get married, then you know, the wife stays at home and the guy takes care of her. Like, that's the way to do it that works. Now there's other ways to do it, but that's the way that works. And so, you know, I've been doing this for thousands of years. Doesn't mean the woman doesn't do anything, right? But it's like, that's the way it's been working. And so traditional is best, exactly. But the problem is, like, number one, most guys can't afford that. And number two, a lot of people don't get married. So whenever you're like a girl, you know, you're a stay-at-home girlfriend for 5 years, and then your boyfriend kicks you to the curb, well, now you don't have any alimony. You're not making any money. You're just basically, like, stuck. Because there's also another factor, is that women have a period, like, between like 18 and, like, I'd say like 30, 35, sometimes even less, where they're going to be attractive and guys are going to want to spend time and money on them naturally. And it's like, if there's a 40-year-old chick, like, some guy isn't probably as involved or doesn't care. Like, okay, she can be successful maybe, but, like, he doesn't give a shit about that, right? He just wants some chick that he's able to just kind of, you know, like, yeah, take care of, and that's it. The clock's ticking, exactly. So, like, if you're a woman and you're dating a guy for like 4 years, and it's between the ages of, like, you're like 23 to like 27, let's say, and then it doesn't work out, well, you just lost a huge component of those people, right? And that's the big issue, right? Tried wife here, had our first baby at home, husband works his ass off for it. Yeah, exactly, right? And so, and they gave viewers, people go so crazy. Guys, why don't you relax the fucking viewer count? Who gives a fuck? And so anyway, Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, what was I saying before I got confused? And anyway, industry titans and wanted the workplace in there. Yeah, sure, right? And, like, just overall, what I think happens is that you have people that, you know, I mean, like, they can't take care of a family. They're not making enough money. And then you have these women, and they don't get married. And so now there's no investment between the two people, and it just gets worse.
kitchen table with a spreadsheet. Mortgage, student loans, car payments, health insurance.
You're a moron about this. Women are awful. They're 100% of the problem. Yeah, yeah.
Insurance,
So
retirement savings. of literally breaking their bones to add height to their hinge profile.
Smart.
Or just smashing their jaw open until it
Smart.
looks
There
worthy
you
of
go.
more likes on Instagram.
There you go.
It's why looks maxing is now a thing.
We're really seeing is that there is
Yes.
like this very, very like deep anger, entitlement. There's like this incel movement. You know, there's this like alpha male, beta male kind
Yes.
of thing. And I don't know if you kind of get this, but there's like a deep sense of like anger.
Men today are more overprotected than ever before, but at the same time less able to be themselves or show vulnerability than ever, with constant mixed messages about needing to be confident and assertive, but also to never make a woman uncomfortable. So when real intimacy feels impossible or dangerous, most people just end up with two obvious escape.
Well, it's also that like a lot of the people that are, I think, a lot of the like male role model people are like super problematic. Like they are either like really simpy and they're just talking about how bad men are, or they actually are misogynist and they legitimately hate women, right? There's like almost never a like middle ground that makes sense. It just doesn't happen.
Adult content, which has now become a type of synthetic intimacy,
Yes.
numbing your core drive in life to
There
Bonnie
it
Blue
is.
videos. Or you go the other extreme route, monk mode, with alpha
Yeah.
male gurus, where you see influencers taking TRT at just 14 years old
Well, yeah, I mean, you want to start off early, right? Of course.
to looks max.
Yep.
I was like, I'm gonna get my physique going as quickly as possible. I do not care about side effects. I don't care about any implications. of,
Based.
oh, this guy's using drugs. Like,
Who cares?
None of that shit really fazed me.
There's
Yep.
even an influencer influenced so much by his love of American Psycho, he offers expensive courses to help young vulnerable men ascend.
Syrian Psycho. Fucking based. He's got 1.9 million views. That's impressive.
Even the escape routes offered by these men are roads to nowhere with heavy price tags attached. But
I
they-
actually disagree with this. I think that if you try to work on your appearance and like there are people like basically you can't multiply by 0. So like for example, there's some people that are fucked up in one way or another and it doesn't really matter what they do. But let's say you're just like a normal person, you're an average person. If you take steps to make yourself look more attractive, it will make your life a lot easier. It will. You'll get treated better. People will respect you more. It's just that's the way everything like this is. And a lot of people might not really want to hear that. They can still improve a lot. Yeah, exactly, right? Disagree, diet and gym? That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what my point is. Diet and gym, yes. If you're going out there and you're going to the gym and you're exercising and you're putting a lot of work into what you're doing, this will absolutely increase your chances of having women that are interested in you and want to talk to you. Like, don't ever let anybody tell you that this stuff, like the looks maxing stuff works. It obviously works. If it didn't work, then makeup wouldn't be one of the biggest industries in the world. Like, duh. Of course it matters.
all clearly indicate that there is a crisis happening. There are symptoms that dating is falling apart. And with more and more endless towns and cities designed around roads for vehicles and the loss of communal spaces that once enabled people to meet naturally, free time is just now dominated by screens. We need more exaggerated extreme content, whether it be some crazy looks mac rant or watching 1,000 men line up outside. Yet whenever this issue is talked about publicly, it just sounds like a joke. No one ever takes it seriously, no one even
because
thinks...
the problem is that it's insidious in a way because it is one of those topics where you have it's so ridiculous whenever it's being discussed. Things like Clav or Bonnie Blue talking about this stuff, it seems like it's it seems fucking ridiculous. And so because it's so ridiculous and it in a way is a parody of itself, people think that it's a joke, but it's actually really not. Some of these factors are real. They absolutely are. So I wish I was the 1,000th person. I don't. Yeah, I don't. And wait, sex with 1,000 people? Yeah, bro, like this woman was, I don't even know how you do that. I honestly, it's kind of impressive in a way. People treat you the way you look. Yeah, people treat you the way you look. Like, in my opinion, like I've been around, like, for example, like friends of mine that are like more attractive and they get treated totally different than like, let's say I would get treated, right? I remember seeing this growing up and I was like, this was actually one of the reasons why, like, this is going to sound like kind of a crazy thing to say, but it's one of the reasons why I'm like kind of, in a lot of cases, like a very ruthless and like Machiavellian person, is that I've always felt like, you know, okay, well, you know, these other people have these advantages. I don't have these advantages, so I have to make up for it by just being even more ruthless, aggressive, and you know, as goal-oriented as I possibly can be, right? And so that was always the way that I would look at things. And it was one of my mindsets for it. It's because, like, basically it's like, okay, well, you know, if you don't have these advantages, you have to put yourself in a position that is similar to that.
About it. In fact, society will just continue to tell us that biology doesn't
my
matter.
mindset.
Sex, status, attachments, presence are all just irrelevant.
Yeah, pretty privilege, it goes really hard. But, like, being completely ruthless and being able to outthink and outmaneuver people, it's even better.
We're now post-animal, caged in our rooms, playing out life virtually, deprived of community, ritual, movement, and unnecessary bits of chaos and unpredictability, the conditions that our species evolved in. So next time you see falling birth rates across the Western world, when you see the population collapse in numbers, you have to realize that this is manifesting itself through these weird behaviors that we're seeing today. And as we continue to struggle to even replace our current populations, the burden will only get
Yeah, you need like a 2.3 or 2.4 or something like that replacement rate in order for you know, like the society to continue going, and like we're very lower below that. Not good.
Everyone.
Yep, absolutely. No, he's totally right about this. And again, that's the reason why so many people have started getting into like looks maxing and everything else. It's like basically a gamification of being able to, you know, like have a girlfriend or something
Simple
like
stuff.
that. I think that's kind of what's happened, is that they're trying to do whatever they can to take advantage of it. And that's really it's superficial maxing. Well, you can say it's superficial or not. It doesn't really matter like what your opinion is on it. And like, let's say it is superficial, it still works. It works extremely well. Or you mean you had to play the game better instead of crying about it? Well, I don't know about that. I mean, crying about which game? I don't know what you mean by that. So you had to learn how to outmaneuver, like you said, how to be ruthless. Well, the way that I look at it is that, you know, everybody in life has a set of advantages and disadvantages. So, for example, like I didn't grow up with a lot of money, and I never really thought I was a particularly attractive person, and I get made fun of like growing up, like the way I look, etc. And so, like because of that, I thought to myself, okay, well, you know, these are things that are obvious, like massive impediments to me, right? These are things that are like huge debuffs. So you have to, instead of that, look at other positive things that you can curate and cultivate that will allow you to overcome those debuffs. And so for me, my mindset was I will always my core operating principle that I have is I always do what is in my best interest. Like, unless I'm acting in the best interest of another person, then I do what's in their best interest or a best interest of a friend. But other than that, I just simply do what's advantageous to me. So if that means lying, cheating, stealing, misrepresenting, doing anything that's bad at all of that's on the table because I have to do what's in my best interest. And, you know, my mindset is like, well, if I don't do that, well, then, okay, well, now I'm at even more of a disadvantage. And now it's even worse. So it's not easy to do it. And so that's really that's how I make decisions, right? And so, ass bitch. Yeah, sometimes, right? And use wealth to looks max and be healthy. Well, I mean, like, it depends on who it is, right? Like, for some people, it's easier to do. For other people, it's not. At least you know up to it. I do. I totally am up to it. And the reason why is because I think that a lot of people don't talk the way that I do. They don't explain things the way that I do, because what I'm saying is it's not a socially acceptable thing to say, what I say. But I think it's very true, is that if somebody else have you ever lied to chat? I never lied to chat. Never lie. Why would I ever lie to chat? It'd be disgusting. And so that's it. I get on peptides and HGH. I don't know. Like, I mean, for me personally, like my face is so fucked up. Like, I have like weird facial proportions, and also like my teeth are gone, and they've been gone for so long that they've deformed my face. So like, there's not really anything I can do about that. But like, there are other things that you can do instead. And my best advice is, if that does happen, you know, brush your fucking teeth whenever you're growing up, right? Because it totally fucks you up. So, yeah, you're fine. No, I look, guys, I don't want to get into this being about me or anything else. But in general, I will say this. A lot of people think that I look okay whenever I'm on camera in my own room, in my own lighting. Think about it like this. I obviously try to present myself in the best way possible. What do you think I like? If you go look at me in photos with other people or on IRL streams, it looks I look like an exhumed corpse. Like I do. Like this is just it is what it is. Like you can go and be like, oh, okay, well, you know, this is it's not really true. It absolutely is true. 100% it's true. If it wasn't true, you wouldn't have 50,000 fucking tweets about it being true. That's the facts. And so there it is. Corpse maxing? Yes, exactly. Like the drown from Witcher 3. Exactly. That's a good example. And so, you know, my mindset is like, if you can't do that, you have to do other things instead of that. And so that's really the way that I look at everything is that, you know, if you're not good at one thing, you have to be even better at something else. And so a lot of guys, I think that there's a lot of sensitive guys that I don't think that have an agency-based approach on life. And I think that's also the very big weakness is that instead of looking at the disadvantages you have in life and you look at them in a healthy and, you know, emotionally competent way, you, instead of that, try to fight against them. You hate them. You're, you know, trying to live in the, you know, like in opposition to them. And it's just not going to work, right? And so if you try and do that, you're not thinking about from the right perspective. Like, in my opinion, the right perspective is you go and immediately fucking figure out what are you good at, what are you bad at, focus on the things that you're good at, make them even better. Because usually things that you're not good at, you're probably not going to be able to make up the difference and have that happen. So, yeah. My wife is pointing out all the gray hairs I have in my beard, so I have that now. Well, just point out her weight whenever she does that. Point out the fact that she's gained weight recently, and that way you can get even with her. I think that's probably a pretty good idea. Yeah, bro, like, you can't let her do that to you, bro. Like, yeah, really? Like, point out the fact that she got a few more wrinkles on her face. Man. That's the way it is, right? And anyway, then he gets slapped. Yes, definitely. And your fingers look fatter. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, your wrists look heavier. Have you been retaining water? You're not eating too much food, are you? Like, wow. And great. It's a great way to meet a lawyer. Oh my God. Yeah, I guess so, right? And anyway, you mad? That's the best advice. Yes, definitely. Gray hairs are a badge of honor. I don't know about that. I'm lucky. I don't really have that many gray hairs. Almost all my friends have a good amount of gray hair now and everything. I don't honestly. I'm surprised that I haven't aged more. And you know, like fingers crossed. You know, knock on wood. You know, it hasn't gotten even worse. Like I basically look the same, minus like a little bit less hair. And for quite a while, because you don't have hair? Okay. Well, anyway, so it's the candy, bro? Exactly. Yep, exactly. It's all the candy. You're out in the sun a lot? Definitely. But no, I think that for a lot of people, it's hard for them to start families now. It's become increasingly more difficult. You have way more people that are just not even planning on doing it. And I think that in a lot of cases, they would have the opportunity to. But unfortunately, it just seems like a lot of people nowadays are kind of like they've just given up, really. And I think it's sad. Like, I mean, I think it makes sense, right? It's like if you're over like 30, 35, right? There's more of a perspective of that. But in a general sense, I feel like a lot of those people just kind of give up too early, right? And yeah, it's like you're giving up, you're like 22 or something like that. Like, it's probably a little bit too early to give up. So this game right here, 1348 X Votto. This game has had a lot of drama around it, and I'm going to try it out. It's a demo. Now, this game advertised itself as being the modern audience game. There was another game, it was called Knight's Tale or something like that. And, you know, it said that they're not going to make gay characters because they don't care about the modern audience. This game, quote, retweeted them and said that we are the modern audience. And so let's see what the game is like. Here we go. We'll try it out. What the fuck is this? Okay, yeah, whatever. Dear villagers. Uh-huh. Sidolo. The game saves automatically. I would have never guessed. Okay. This is all right. This looks nice. Okay. It's not. I'm just kidding. All right. Let's see here. Gameplay. And I'm not even going to worry about this. Graphics should be fine. I'm just going to skip all the rest of these. I don't want to go through everything. Audio effects, I usually turn this down so it's better to listen to. And then, okay, all right. New game, new game, new game. Well, let's pick new game. How about that? Here we go.
A fine display. Feat worthy of Lancelot himself, straight from one of your tales.
Why do you insist we come here when all you do is mock?
We are here to distract you from your sorrows. Besides, nightly practice balances your humors, Aeta. Mock play mine.
I practice. I am no knight.
Yeah, because you're a girl.
No, you're more than that.
Yet I still hear my father's voice instructing me from the shadow of that tree, pointing out my grip, my posture.
So, yeah, so are they like lesbians, or how does this work?
The town mourns for the loss of their lord. And I mourn for your loss.
Uh-huh.
Rest your heart. It doesn't help to dwell. You'll need
She got
to be
that
strong
Edgar haircut.
for the days ahead.
Strong. How can I be? Death has grasped this land and... How can I, or anyone, fight death?
That's a long
What would your
sword.
mother have said?
That we do what we must. And that I have a duty as my birthright.
And your father?
To raise my sword, and to keep fighting,
Uh-huh.
and to not tell my mother.
So, my noble knight,
Is this like the combat tutorial? Yes.
Arthur, will you face your end at the hand of your son?
The troubadour does not speak the lines like that, Bianca.
I am not Bianca. I am Mordred, and you are Arthur. Fight or yield.
You will ruin your vestments.
I said, fight me.
All right.
As thou asked.
Here we go. I'm in the game. I'm in the game.
You'll end up in the mud.
Hung, born in. Perfect time.
Okay. All right. Is that it?
Your strikes are repetitive.
Hold. Two-handed stance.
If your blows are parried, change your stance.
Predictable.
I don't.
Need to alter your stance.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Predictable. You need to
On hit, perfect attack. Press attack precisely when you hit to... Why would you ever do that? It's stupid. It has, like, if you just take a step back, are you keeping your country safe? Are you keeping your people safe when you allow immigration from a country that has a massive inbreeding? Do you want to know what the percentage of women who are victims of female genital mutilation are in Somalia? 99%. I'm not kidding. If you look up the World Health Organization, and they have a study on this, 99% of women in Somalia are victims of female genital mutilation. I don't want to import that culture into my country. I don't want to take the risk that I'm importing that culture into my country. I don't want them here. At all.
Work of Richard Lynn.
It's disgusting.
This guy, a literal, self-described scientific racist.
What does that have to do with whether it's right or not? You're calling somebody a word. What does that have to do with this?
This man was part of a secret eugenics conference where, and I'm not joking, there were people favorably arguing in favor of pedophilia. So
that's obviously bad, but you know what's even worse is probably the fact that pedophilia is normalized over in Somalia. If you're going to act like that's bad, why don't you look at what they're doing? Look at whenever they're getting married.
Yeah, this is the guy Asmongold is quoting. Lynn published a paper in 1982 called IQ in Africa in the pseudoscientific journal The Mankind Quarterly, a white supremacist outlet that is currently...
See, he's trying to poison Noel by saying that things are pseudoscientific, saying they're white supremacist, etc. You're not actually attacking the argument. You're not actually attacking anything that's being said. You're assigning negative variables and negative attributes to it, and then hoping that people, because of those negative variables and attributes that you're assigning to it, will assume that it's wrong because they're not supposed to agree with things that have these attributes. That's what he's doing. It's dishonest.
Maintained by the hilariously named Human Diversity Foundation.
Because there's diversity between humans. That's correct.
Far-right white nationalist company.
Again, like none of this has anything to do with whether this is a good or an accurate thing at all. This is more, again, and again, I want to take a step back. It's environmental, it's educational. There is also the factor of inbreeding, which is massive. All of these things have nothing to do with race. And they're still all factors for IQ. So what's happening is that you just have a person who's throwing a bunch of buzzwords at it to hopefully get people to disagree with what's being said. You're trying to shut down conversation. And you have to keep in mind, let's go back and talk about that eugenics conference that was banned. The reason why these things are banned is because research into this topic isn't allowed. You have to keep in mind that the father that invented DNA, or not invented, excuse me, discovered DNA, was effectively had his entire career destroyed because he said that there's a chance that there could be a racial basis for where IQ is coming from. And so the reason why there isn't a lot of research or information in this is because there is a wrong answer. And it's basically politicized science that has been effectively co-opted by activists that will not let people have a conversation about this topic at all. That's the reason what's going on.
In this journal, Flynn argued that the IQ of sub-Saharan Africa...
The guy's a critical drinker, generational hater. What is this? Pull this up. See this?
Drinker is a grifter. He's trying to tell the audience what he thinks they want to hear. Hilariously, it works on you, proving that the audience of grifters are very, very low IQ. Others can argue differently. There is no winner here. Besides, you're a low IQ alt-right incel that has a personal vendetta against anything you perceive to be left-wing. You are not a reliable source. The guy is a low IQ moron that is seeking attention. I mean, his videos are hate videos, not criticism videos.
Of course.
Yeah, that explains exactly why you're a loser who spends his free time making fun of marginalized groups on the internet while being a dipshit low IQ manlet that is invisible to every woman walking past you down the street.
Again, it's all about the approval of women. It has nothing to do with whether somebody's right or not. It's about, are you getting the consensus approval?
What you got fired for, you low IQ piece of shit. One thing I always
Notice how his arguments are low IQ? Yeah, because IQ matters. It obviously matters. And anybody that thinks that it doesn't matter is probably low IQ.
From grifters is how they are so opportunistic that they will contradict themselves if it means they can serve up a shallow dunk to their low IQ viewership. That he knows the point that's being made, but is misrepresenting it to fit the narrative he's trying to push.
Right.
I mean, the alternative is to suggest he's low IQ. And I would never do that. God, I can't take any more of this low IQ dribble. Drinker is
well, anyway, so this is the person who's making a video of me talking about IQs. Huh. It sure seems like he cares a lot about IQ, actually. Right. And also, keep in mind, none of these were arguments. None of this was an argument at all.
Was around 70. Notice I said
Wait,
IQ
what?
of sub-Saharan Africa was around. In this journal, Flynn argued that the IQ of sub-Saharan Africa was around 70.
Okay.
Notice I said sub-Saharan Africa. Yes, Lynn's argument was that a continent that consists of about 50 countries all had a similar very low IQ.
Okay. All of the European countries have similar IQs. All of the Asian countries have similar IQs. This tracks. Yeah.
The obvious problem with this argument is that Africa
This is an average.
is huge, and there are over 1 billion people with over 1,000 different ethnic groups. Nigeria alone has more than 200 ethnic groups, and that's a single country. Do you think Lynn tested every ethnic group in Nigeria, let alone...
Do you think that one of them is going to have a higher IQ than people in China? What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, really, it is so retarded that it's just like you think about this for 3 seconds and you immediately realize that it's retarded. Oh my God.
The rest of the continent? Yeah, me neither. Anyway,
let's be honest for just a second.
Is, other psychologists went back and actually checked Lynn's work.
Let's look at
Wichards, Dolan, and van der Maas published a systematic review in the journal Intelligence, looking at IQ data from sub-Saharan African samples. What they found was that because African countries are developing countries, they hadn't experienced the variables that caused the Flynn effect, such as improvements to nutrition, healthcare, and even toys. In other words, the environment is the most relevant variable in determining one's IQ score.
So why would you want to bring people from the country that have a bad environment into your country? Why would you want to do that? So, like, I don't understand. Because, like, so if your brain isn't developed properly because, like, for whatever reason, you know, environmentally or whatever else, who creates it? Well, they do. They're killing each other and cutting each other up. They've been doing this for thousands of years. I mean, obviously, that's the reason why. And you can't understand their IQ is so good. They have to keep living in mud huts rather than building houses. Exactly. So exactly what you said. Yeah, of course. So the thing is that it's not relevant to me whether the IQ is arrived at through racial, genetic, or environmental reasons. The only thing that matters is whether the IQ is or isn't. If you bring a bunch of people who are functionally retarded into your country, you're going to have a lot of problems. So why would you ever invite that type of chaos into your country? It doesn't matter where they're coming from. It doesn't matter why it's happening. Why would you ever do that? It's stupid. There's a reason, like, aren't like 80% of these people on welfare in America? It's insane. And then also keep in mind that it's not just systematic, right? Or it's not just environmental, because even, like, for example, Somali American families inside of America that have been here for 10 years, they have been in America for 10 years. They still have a much dramatically higher rate of being on welfare than, normal, like, I would say, like, just average, everyday Americans from the general population. That's it.
Genetics. But let's rewind for a second.
It has nothing to do whether it's genetics or not.
mention something that you all may not be familiar with.
What is it?
The Flynn effect.
Right.
The Flynn effect is the observed rise in IQ scores over time. Basically, if you gave an average...
I think this is true. So in general, you are going to have a ceiling and a floor of IQ. Like, for example, if somebody's really, really naturally smart, if they are not well educated and they're not, you know, like basically, you know, they don't have good, what do you call it? They don't have good like environment, or like they don't have good nutrition, excuse me. And for whatever reason, they don't have these options. Well, what ends up happening is that, yeah, they're not going to be as smart as they could be, but their floor is higher than somebody else's. So it's the same as anything else. There's a variation of it, but that variation doesn't go from 100 to 0. There is a natural limitation that each person has. And if you really think that you can train two random people and one of them can just randomly be Einstein just because you educate them in the right way, you're just delusional. You're obviously delusional. Every single other element of humanity is measured in this way. So, for example, there are people who are shorter because they have lower, you know, amounts of food that they're eating. But it's not like people that have an adequate amount of food are always 7 feet tall either. There is a genetic variation, but inside of that genetic variation, there is a ceiling and a floor for each individual person.
Person from 1901, a modern IQ test, they would score dramatically lower than the people of today. Not because they were genetically predisposed to being less intelligent, but because IQ tests measure certain types of abstract...
There are people that are just stupid. This is, and there's a problem, is that a lot of people inside of Western society are terrified of the idea that people are not equal. But they're not. And we all know this. Everybody knows this. If you've gone to a public school, you would know this. There are a lot of people that are just born with less talent points than others. They're stupid. They're dumb. And there's nothing that you're going to be able to do. You're not going to be able to, like, teach them something. Maybe you can make it a little bit better, but you're never going to teach a lot of these people to be rocket scientists. It's just never going to happen. It's a delusion, but people don't want to talk about that because they're worried that it could be considered or seen as eugenics.
Reasoning, pattern recognition, and problem solving that modern societies train us in constantly.
We're going to take a quick voyage over the cognitive history of the 20th century. Because during that century...
People want to believe that anything's possible with the right luck and the right opportunity. Yeah, it's not. There are some people that are just losers, and some people that aren't.
Our minds have altered dramatically. As you all know, the cars that people drove in 1900 have altered because the roads are better and because of technology.
Well, it's because people with high IQs designed them.
And our minds have altered too. We've gone from people who confronted a concrete world and analyzed that world primarily in terms of how much it would benefit them, to people who confront a very complex world. And it's a world where we've had to develop new mental habits, new habits of mind. Now, this dramatic change was drawn to my attention through massive IQ gains over time. And these have been truly massive. That is, we don't just get a few more questions right on IQ tests. We get far more questions right on IQ tests than each succeeding generation back to the time that they were invented.
People are getting smarter? Okay. This is an argument against what I said? What does this have to do with what I said?
Indeed, if you score the people a century ago against modern norms, they would have an average IQ of 70. If you score us against their norms, we would have an average IQ of 130. Now, this has raised all sorts of questions. Were our immediate ancestors on the verge of mental retardation? Because 70 is normally the score for mental retardation. Or are we on the verge of all being gifted? Because 130 is the cutting line for giftedness.
James Flynn, the political scientist who documented this pattern, showed that IQ scores increased roughly 3 points per decade in many countries throughout the 20th century.
I think there's a lot of reasons why that happens, and one of the reasons is a eugenic reason. whenever you have dumb people that are really stupid, the probability is that they're not going to reproduce. So the reason why is that those dumb people usually make bad decisions. Those bad decisions get them put in jail, and you can't have a kid whenever you're in jail. So that's what happens, is that a lot of dumb people wrong. Well, of course, it's obvious that's true. Is that a lot of the dumbest people are going to get removed from the gene pool, right? What about idiocracy? I love how people are saying the argument against me is it's a movie. The argument against what I'm saying is a movie? What do you mean? No, it's obvious this is true. You're going to have the lowest, dumbest people that, like, I'm not talking about, see, like, this is what people don't understand. You're thinking I'm talking about people with like a 90 or an 80 IQ. I'm not. I'm talking about people with a 60 or a 70 IQ. This is a totally different wavelength. And those people are probably not reproducing because a lot of those, especially the majority of those people with that low of intelligence, are men. Those men are getting put in jail. That's it.
So, if IQ were purely genetic and fixed...
It's not purely genetic. There's a lot of factors to it. Genetics are one factor, but it's not the only factor.
That kind of rapid change would be impossible.
Yeah.
Evolution does not move that fast. Your great-grandparents were not biologically inferior to you. They just lived in a world with less formal education.
Well, they were shorter, too. Another component to this is that it's height. Like, people in general over the years have become taller. And I think the reason why is the same thing. Like, this isn't even an argument against what I was saying. I think everybody knows this.
Less exposure to abstract symbols, less complex media, and different cognitive demands.
I don't think that the reason why is that they have less complex media or there's less cognitive demands. I don't think that's even the reason at all. I think that a lot of these people just don't even care about it in the first place. Also, the way that you measured something 100 years ago is totally different foundation than the way that you would do it now. Tall people die sooner. At a certain amount of height, yes.
Which means IQ scores are sensitive to the environment and improve when the environment improves. Access to schooling, nutrition, healthcare, the complexities of daily life, all of these things are relevant, and none were accounted for in Lin's work. Because of course they weren't. Lin was a self-described scientific racist. His goal was to show how inferior black people were. Richard Lin's work on race...
This is, again, it's not even about race in the first place. This person's arguing with me about something that's different. Now, I do think that if you controlled for every variable, here's the reality, right? Is that if you controlled for every single variable, and every variable was exactly the same, and you took 1 million people that lived in Somalia, and you took 1 million people that lived in China, and you judged their IQ, would they both have the same IQ? Everybody knows the answer to this. Everybody knows.
And IQ heavily influenced The Bell Curve, a 1994 book by psychologist Richard J. Herrnstein and political scientist Charles Murray that argued intelligence is largely shaped by genetics with some environmental influence, and that IQ is a stronger predictor of life outcomes, income, job success, crime, out-of-wedlock births, than the socioeconomic status you were born into. The bell curve has been challenged by geneticists, psychologists, and statisticians for overstating the heritability of IQ across groups and for downplaying environmental variables, treating socially constructed racial categories as biological truth. Richard Lin was one of the primary scholars who compiled and popularized cross-national IQ datasets.
Here's what I think also, because this is just like more bullshit. I think that what you should do is you should do more research into this and figure it out yourself. Go over there and test these people for IQ. Test people that came over here that don't have these same problems and then see what their IQs are. There's a reason why we don't do a lot of research on this. And the reason why people don't do research on this is because they're afraid of the answer. That's the reason why. And I want to go back to what I've said before is that look at the people that are advocating for more information versus look at the people that are advocating for less information. Information versus look at the people that are advocating for less information. I'm confident that I think that more research and more at the people that are advocating for more information versus look at the people that are advocating for less information. I'm confident that I think that more research and more investigation into this will lead to the obvious outcome. But for some people, they don't even want to talk about it. They don't even want to look into it. And that's the real problem. And they don't want to do that because what they've built onto it is they built an entire ideology of the blank slate. The blank slate doesn't exist. The blank slate is to a degree true, but there are also a lot of things about it that are not true. And so what happens is that you have people that have this entire ideology that's built around this lie, and because of that, they try to never talk about or never discuss any difference besides this. Can you explain why Lynn said that Iran has an IQ of 80? It's been proven now it's 110. Well, I don't know. I didn't see about Iran. I have no idea what that reason is at all. I don't think that Iran has an IQ of 110, but I know that Iranians have very high IQs on average. 110 would be higher than anybody else in the world by 5 points. So I find that to be unlikely. But overall, I think that's very true.
Alleging to show innate racial hierarchies.
Yes.
This is the textbook definition of racism, by the way, that race is a fundamental determinant of human traits and that those different...
It is a fundamental determinant of traits. It obviously is. One of the best traits is skin color. Big surprise. People of one race are going to have one skin color. This is one thing that people don't even consider with like racism and skin color are actually two different things. Like, if you have people that are from a different race, like, race isn't always defined by just, like, one specific thing. Skin color is just the most obvious indicator of that. Very clearly, there are racial differences between people. Anybody knows this. This is the type of a priori knowledge that every single person in the entire world knows is true, but inside of Western culture, we're supposed to pretend like it's not true because people are all willingly participating in this deliberate lie. Very clearly, race is a factor. It's obviously a factor, same as gender is and everything else. But for some reason, because people are afraid of talking about this, nobody ever wants to look into it at all.
Produce an inherent superiority or hierarchy.
Yeah.
Anyway, those datasets compiled by Lynn were later cited approvingly by the bell curve authors Murray and Herrnstein.
Yeah.
In fact, Murray has explicitly acknowledged Lynn's work as part of the research base for their claims about group IQ differences. The problem is not simply that Lynn helped...
Because also keep in mind that if you were actually trying to debunk this, you would do further research into people that live in these areas, and then he would be showing that further research and the IQ differences being more, like, smaller, right? Like, okay, well, there was other research, and this research came out, and it proved that it wasn't true. Isn't it interesting to you that in all of these videos and all of this information, not a single actual point of, like, counter research is provided? It's all just people saying that he's racist or other books that other people disagreed with or talking about something in a theoretical means, but there's never actually any data that's disproving this. I wonder why that is. We all know why that is.
Extreme views, including open support for eugenics, but that his data practices have been widely criticized for flaws in its methodology.
Eugenics works. A good example of it is Yao Ming. So Yao Ming's like 7'4", 7'5", or something like that. And he was actually a product of China having people doing selective breeding. I mean, this is obviously true. If you have two black people that have a kid, the kid's going to be black. If you have two white people that have a kid, the kid's going to be white. If you have two people that are very tall that have a kid, the probability is the kid's going to be very tall. This is the type of what I was saying before. It is this willing, deliberate, and desperate attempt to totally deny every observable facet of reality. And this reality denial, There is an entire pyramid and an entire temple of misinformation and distorted values that are coming out of this. These are people who are fundamentally, not only are they against science, but they're afraid of the consequences of science. That's really it. That has nothing to do with IQ, though. What do you think the probability is that the hereditary traits that are physically observable are the only elements of things that could have anything to do with genetic variability? What do you think the probability is that height and skin color are almost 100% genetically heritable and IQ isn't at all? Really? Think about this for 3 seconds.
Upon reviewing Lynn's work, Witchert states the following. The assertion that the average IQ of Africans is below 70 is not tenable, even under the most lenient of inclusion criteria. Because Lynn missed a sizable portion of the relevant literature, their estimate of average IQ of Africans is clearly too low. Combined, the current systematic review and the results of our review of Raven's test suggests that the average IQ of African test takers is close to 80.
Is this an argument against me? Like, wait a minute, wait, so you're quoting people who are saying that it's not 67, it's 80? Like, oh my God, do you understand how massive of a difference that is versus 100? Holy shit, that's insane. Oh my God.
We believe that the accuracy...
It's not an F, it's a D-, guys. And this is their argument. There's a reason why they, as I said, there's a reason why they don't do research into this.
Estimates of
national... Oh, wait, I'm sorry, he's arguing against you? Yes, you cannot join the army with an IQ below 80, by the way. They're borderline. Exactly. So I think that the benchmark... So you cannot be part of the army if your IQ is, I think, below 82. And the reason why is because... And also keep in mind, average. Now, what does average mean? It means half of the people are below that. Uh-oh. Fill a society with a bunch of people where the average IQ is 80, and you're going to have a PvP server. Sorry. It's pretty fucking obvious.
IQ of sub-Saharan African countries can be improved considerably.
What's the median? Oh, okay.
What Witcherts is saying here is that Lynn conducted bad science, and that the average estimated IQ of poverty-stricken African people is actually close to average, which is usually defined.
The average, it's actually, wait, what?
In African people is actually close to average.
80 is not the average at all. What are you talking about? That's extremely low in America. That's incredibly low. It's low in Asia too. Wait, what?
Which is usually defined as between 85 to 115.
So if it's between 85 and 115, and he said it was low 80s and it was 80 to 82, then it wouldn't be part of the average. You just
85 to 115.
So if it's between 85 and 115, and he said it was low 80s and it was 80 to 82, then it wouldn't be part of the average. You just said the number wrong.
Their environment improves, so too with their average IQ scores, due to the Flynn effect. And remember, we are talking about countries that have faced civil war, famine, disrupted schooling, disease.
Civil war, famine, disruptive schooling, disease. Okay, these seem all great reasons to bring these people into America. This is such a great list of reasons why these people should come to our country. Yeah, I mean, now, like, guys, I wasn't convinced. Now I'm totally convinced. Now they should be here for sure.
And extreme poverty, not to mention constant exploitation by Western countries that literally...
That's right. It's Western countries' fault why these countries are shitholes. And that's the reason why, for example, whenever Britain invaded China and forced them to, buy tea and stuff like that, and they colonized India, that's why there's no smart people and people successful in China and India. That's the exact reason. Because, see, like, every country that, you know, Europeans colonized is now just totally fucking famine-stricken and terrible. Like China, for example. It's just...
Persists to this day.
God.
The phone you're watching this video on contains cobalt,
Yes.
a chemical element that is abundant in the Congo. This element is mined using child labor in the Congo,
Yes.
and not only does this mining degrade the environment and pollute the local water system, it results in birth defects of the children born there. As they
So
have
why would you want to bring a bunch of defective kids into America? Why would you want to do that? It's stupid. Like, you're making my argument. Like, duh. Like, nobody wants to do that. It's ridiculous. Of course.
high levels of cobalt and uranium in their blood. In 1996, the American Psychological Association's Task Force on Intelligence explicitly warned that environmental factors such as education, nutrition, and health significantly influence IQ test performance.
Why do they keep warning and not researching? Why is it that all of these people are talking about it, but there's never any data analysis? Don't you find that to be interesting? What are the odds of that?
If you ignore those variables and jump straight to biology, well, you're not following the science.
They're all variables.
So this brings us back to Zach's tweet.
Right.
Yes, this claim is racist because it was made by a racist whose entire purpose was to denigrate an entire continent to uphold white supremacist narratives.
Guys, it's 80. It's not 67. It's not 68. It's actually all the way up there at 80. It's racist. It's racist. Guys, it's racist. Oh, no. Jesus Christ. Keep in mind the biggest mining operations in Africa are Chinese. They usually employ Russian mercenaries for protection. What's this Western bullshit? Well, of course the Chinese do that. I mean, duh.
Narratives like eugenics. The claim wasn't a fact because facts survive scrutiny. They don't.
That's right, guys. The best case scenario is that it's 80. Imagine that.
Collapse the moment you ask who collected the data and whether other researchers could replicate those results.
Well, no, why are other researchers not replicating these results on a regular basis? Why is this not happening? Why is it that, you know, we're talking about researchers replicating results? Why is it that none of these researchers are doing this on a regular basis? Why is it that this outcome isn't able to be reproduced through science? It's because they're afraid to do so. And they're afraid to do so because they know what the answer is.
The worldview requires Somalia or any other African country to be permanently capped at 68 IQ in order to make sense, then the science wasn't the point.
Yes.
The conclusion is.
Yes.
And that,
well, the conclusion is the point, actually. Like, if there's a country that has an IQ of 68 average, or let's say it's 80 on average, let's assume it's 85. Do I want to bring a bunch of median level, average 85 IQ people into the country? No, it's because these people are like an entire almost standard deviation below the average, and I think that their functional value in society is going to be minimal. That's the reason why.
Is narrative pushing.
Is this the whole video? Jesus. It's the whole video. Man, that's sad. Wow, mic drops, I know. So basically, this guy spent his entire video calling me racist, and then when he finally showed the data still showed the exact same thing that I was saying, but he said it was a different number. If you think that there's no difference between somebody with a 100 IQ and a 100 and an 80 IQ, you probably have an 80 IQ. I'm sorry, but there's a reason why the military doesn't let people in with that level of an IQ. It's because they're functionally fucking useless and they're stupid. And the fact is that you don't want to bring any of those people. This guy's a generational meltier. Read the tweet and scroll up. What is this? Oh my God. He's too personal instead of factual. Well, he's in, like, what is here? No, these numbers show. Oh, here we go. Oh no, wait. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my. Bro, Bro. Oh my God. This is a another idiot parenting something he knows nothing about. Using per capita for crime arrests is fudging of the... Gentlemen. Gentlemen. Oh my God. Wow. Okay, give me a minute. I gotta look at it. All right, I'm back. So, using per capita for crime arrests is fudging of the numbers. Guys, listen. If you're looking at this number, why are people in your rates below average? That's a good question, right? Oh my fucking God. The problem is arrests don't take into account exonerations, and black people are the majority of exonerees. Try again, 11 IQ. Surely, guys, surely there's nothing in per capita at all, and every group of people commits crime at the exact same ratio. Of course, that's exactly the argument. Black people are over-policed, and it gives rise to misconduct. Black people are over-policed, and it gives rise to misconduct? Oh my God. Black people do not dominate crime statistics. White people do. That's why you idiots try to use, quote, per capita? This guy's dumber than I thought. Oh my God. So basically, I think I'm understanding something. I think that this person made this video about me because honestly, they probably thought they were being targeted. I think this guy straight up doesn't like white people. Uh-oh. Here we go. Let's see it. It's not. I'm not. It's irrelevant. The point is who started it. Objectively, the answer is white people. Who started World War I? We can discuss Asians or we can discuss the topic at hand. We're not going to do both. The claim was that white people are the most destructive race. Is this not a true claim? I'm asking because I don't know, but I do know there's evidence supporting this claim. Oh my God. We have an actual racist retard. Holy shit. So this is the guy that wanted to criticize me for racism, and so he uses a bunch of bullshit statistics, and then he finally, the only concrete evidence that he uses is something that is basically proving my point, and I can see why he takes this stuff personally. What a retard. Master and other things you never say to anyone in person. Why waste your limited McDonald's internet on frivolous nonsense instead of engaging with the topic? White people are a world minority, yet they commit the most atrocities per capita. You won't like that one. Really? Well, what about Mao? And no, these groups show white people commit rape more than the other groups combined. Do you want to know the reason why rape is being... This is going to be maybe a spicy fucking take here. But the reason why rape is being seen by white people more, it's because in a lot of places in Africa, it's not against the law. That's the reason why. Has it ever occurred to you that they don't even have laws for spousal rape? They don't even have laws for rape in general. So this whole thing, yeah, duh. Fucking obviously. What a stupid argument. Yeah, they don't have the data. Do you know why they don't have the data? It's because they don't care. They treat women like second-class citizens and like livestock. Duh. What is this here? Somalia outlawed rape in 2018? Really? Wow. Perfect. Good timing. And so, did you hear spousal abuse dropped to 0% in Afghanistan? Yeah, it sure did. And anyway, you're trying to manipulate the numbers. Do you think a judge looks at a white person being tried for rape and thinks about per capita? What does this even mean? I don't even know what this means. Exactly. So you're telling me that you condemn whitewashing as a weak attempt to win a debate online. You don't have a history of condemning the nefarious acts of white people, so I reject the attempt. You do, however, have a racist streak, pattern recognition, remember? So we have somebody here who is actually a racist. We have an actual racist person who got upset that I said that Somalians had a very low IQ and I don't want them in America. He's also weirdly obsessed with IQ. Wait, what is this? Weirdly obsessed with IQ. Uh-oh. In case you were wondering, your IQ score is 141. So this guy got a 141 IQ score. Wow, that's really impressive. Honestly, I would have expected a better video. Yeah. I mean, really, I mean, after all this, I mean, this is sad. Honestly, this is a stronger argument against what I said than his video is. Because how is it that a person that says they have 141 IQ can be this stupid? No, this is actually a better argument than his entire video. Can be this. Because how is it that a person that says they have 141 IQ can be this stupid? No, this is actually a better argument than his entire video. Wow. AI helped them assign actual IQ. Who cares? We're thinking about IQ about this random person who gives a shit. And so anyway, notice how we aren't talking about this at all. You want to take it there. Which ethnic group in America brutalized and enslaved who again? This is right, guys. Which ethnic group right now, like, this is what I think is funny. Which ethnic group right now has slavery? Which Western country has slavery now? None of them. How many African countries have slavery? Come on. What are we doing? This is so obvious. How do you think, didn't they build that nice thing in Qatar? Was it Qatar? Whenever they built that hole, that I think, yeah, of course. Yeah, they do have this. Wait, you just, and this is the same guy that just got done making the argument about these kids, the current state of child labor in the cobalt mines in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So they're like, do you think these kids want to do this? Fuck no, they don't want to do this. So you use this argument. This person does not believe that you can be racist against white people. That's why he openly hates white people, yet he's the one that's able to call anybody racist. Well, this guy's just an idiot. I think we're going to have to focus on him more. Like, now that I'm seeing this, we're going to have to make more content about this individual. I think this is going to continue to, this is going to be the gift that keeps on giving. Oh my God. Technically, Americans bought slaves. The slaves were enslaved by African kingdoms. Yeah, like, we didn't come over to Africa with a lasso and round up all of the people that we used as slaves. We didn't do that. They sold us the slaves because they had enslaved them when we got there. That's the reason. Duh. This is crazy. Some of these people don't understand. In a room of 100 people, 2 wear red shirts, 98 wear white. 1 of the red shirts steal, 30 blue shirts steal. Per capita, the red shirts have a 50% crime rate. Blue has a 31% crime rate. Oh my God. Like, this, the sample size is 30. Of course, yes, wow. You don't understand what per capita is used for. Only absolute numbers matter for law enforcement. Only absolute numbers matter for law enforcement. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, he's also melting down in his own comment section. Wait, what? He's crashing out in his own comment. Is this true? The Roach King literally reacting to the video. Video's barreling up for an hour. He's that starved for content. And of course, his weirdo audience has attempted to come here, brigade the video, and leave downvotes. They're saying what they're doing. Unfortunately for them, they won't be able to comment here. Yeah, you can. I can comment. It's not even a big deal. So, yeah, I mean, what is this? Yeah, you obviously can. You can comment. You can't shut. You have to. You can't shut down comments from everybody. You have to either turn off comments entirely, or you have to make it to where comments are on approval only. That's not how it works. Link the video. I'll link the video to you guys. This is the one I watched, right? He's individually deleting them. Wait a minute. So this guy's individually deleting comments after he got called out. Oh no. There's the video. Oh my God. So he's out there, bro. He's out there in the trenches fighting. No, delete it. Shut it down. No, guys. That's not it at all. And what a high IQ opinion. Yes. Oh my fucking God. This is ridiculous. He can't individually delete all our comments. Honestly, he's going to have to, right? And wow, I knew this day would come that